my buddy Dash for this episode of Double Take. Dave, I just said joined by Dash, but we're joined by Dash
Talking
and
in
Dave.
the third person. That's
The way
weird.
The way you feel.
Good evening, everyone. We're here. This is a special episode. I'm loving it already. We talked a few minutes behind scenes. Of course, as always, we have Dash, but with us tonight from Sporting 160, Richard. How you doing?
I am good. I'm very good. Thank you for having me. We're here to preview the Europa League clash. We drew each other, and it's funny because I predicted we were going to get one of the big Italian boys, and it happened to be you guys.
Yeah, wild. It's so cool. So, just first off, just explain, because I mean, not to sound pretentious, but a lot of us aren't following the Portuguese stuff all the time.
That's understandable.
So yeah, just tell us a bit who Sporting 160 is, and I guess there's a wider brand at play as well, right? So yeah, just give us a few details on that.
So so there's two Sporting 160 podcasts. There's the OGs, the original one out of Portugal. They're 160, and then we're the English branch of their podcast. So we share the brand with them as of this recording, and they're pretty sweet. But yeah, because there was no English language sporting podcast, so started by a group of friends quite a few years ago, and we're kind of I'm kind of one of the newest members actually, but we've slowly but steadily kind of grown and just built the podcast on our sad sack of a team. Because if you follow Sporting at all, if you know our history, it's a little rough. It's a bit scattered at times over, especially the last decade and a half, 2 decades. Success has been minimal.
Well, you've been having a good year though. That being said, so
okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty decent. So tell us then the state of affairs of Porto, right? Or St. Porto.
Porto, come on, man.
I screwed up. Sorry,
it's all right.
I don't know why I said that.
I was gonna say, at least it's not like Rabona where you say Porto in front of Rabona. He would have lost his mind.
No, I don't know why I said that. Sporting. It's I got all the teams in front of me, and my bad.
It's
sorry.
fine, Dave. Just do better.
Okay.
I owe you guys. I owe you guys a drink. That's how that works. I screw up.
We'll hold you to that.
All right. So the state of affairs for Sporting. How are we looking like right now?
Well, right now we're sitting fourth in the table. Benfica are far and away the runaway leaders, and they are one of the best teams in Europe. I'll even admit that, even though I hate their guts. They've been phenomenal. They look poised to potentially even go deeper in the Champions League. Porto is kind of it's a little bit of a season not to their liking, although they did beat us in the League Cup final. We call it the Mickey Mouse Cup in some circles because I think it's like the English League Cup. You only really care once you're in the semifinals, but that's about it. We were out of the Portuguese Cup by a third division team in the first game, so not ideal. And Braga, surprisingly enough, has actually pipped us at third place, and that's important for us because that's the last Champions League place. The top 2 go automatically. The third goes to a playoff. So right now the Europa League is kind of our baby because we were knocked out of Champions League in that wild group with Marseille, Frankfurt, and Tottenham, where on the last day, literally everybody occupied some form in that table. We've just beat a phenomenal Arsenal team on penalties. We're very excited. So this is kind of our ticket to, one, help the Portuguese coefficient ranking in UEFA because we're about to be passed by the Netherlands, and we're going to drop down to sixth or seventh place now because of Ajax and their teams in the Europa League and the Conference League having some good runs. And also because if we don't win Europa League, we're going to be playing the glorious Conference League next year.
Oh yeah, and that would be a tough look. But
we'd be in with a shout to win though.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Roma did that last year.
Yeah,
and now here they are, potential for the finalists. I wouldn't say the finals. I don't think they can win it, but finalists at least. I think
they're a decent team.
Yeah,
they're
okay. They beat us 1-0, but they didn't deserve it.
They have a coach that will get players to run through a wall. That's one thing you could say about Mourinho is he will get his teams to just fucking die for him. How much does Ugarte cost? A gajillion dollars. All the money. We just it's going to be more than what we sold Joel Pagina to Fulham for, which was a cool 21 million. He's been a direct replacement for Pagina, who, if you follow Fulham at all, has been phenomenal. He's been their absolute best midfielder, so he has basically stepped in and filled his shoes nicely.
So from the most trusted source, at least in Italian football, I do have Transfer Market up here.
That's what we use too. That is exactly what we use.
Well,
Market.
FIGC decided to use Transfer Market to take 15 points away from us, so that was their source. So it is the most trusted website in Italy.
25 million euros. So there you go. That's his perceived value in any case. I think people are looking. I think people are looking for to replace Paredes in this case. I think that's what he's probably referencing. I don't know if you know, but nobody likes him.
No, I'm well aware. I keep up with, I'm the weird football hipster. Like, I'm not just a prep snob, so I kind of try to keep up with a little bit of everybody. Like, I'm the weird guy that's gonna watch the Flamengo game later tonight.
Oh, that's cool.
And the state championship. Like, I'm a weird guy.
No, that's Zach. Yeah. That's Zach for us.
Yeah, I suppose. Or like Adrian Sousa there, Benfica. Like, he amazes me the amount he can absorb and then regurgitate out on the internet and like just keep
just
on
an
doing
encyclopedia.
Guy's insane. Speaking of which, another Canadian. So we're ruining you guys. There's now another Canadian in the stream tonight.
That's
so Richard, like 2-3 hours down the road from me, even. So it's wild.
Yeah, because you guys are like Ottawa and like Toronto based, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no, he's Michigan.
I'm Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I'm originally from Toronto.
Windsor.
Okay. Windsor. But yeah, I'm from Kingston, so we're literally in between every major like Eastern Canadian city. So we're 3 hours from Montreal, and the same for Toronto. We're 2 from Ottawa, and then we're near the U.S. border, going into like Watertown. So we're a weird like location of the city.
And Kingston's wild too, because it's a university town, it's a prison town, it's a military town. It's just like it does everything somehow.
So do they use that town for like filming movies?
Because we have. There's we've had a few film out because we have one of the most notorious prisons in Kingston Penn. It's since closed and become basically a museum. But quite a few movies have been filmed in and around Kingston. I'm trying to think of what the last one was.
And there's that fort too, right?
Fort Henry, because
they've done, I think, some like they did some. I don't know the movie, but I think some horror type thing around there.
Oh, for sure. Oh, Mayor of Kingstown. That's what was filmed. If anybody knows that show, that was filmed in Kingston.
Okay. So yeah, pretty exciting city for a somewhat smaller city, medium size, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Little for like 120,000. We're not huge.
Yeah, a little understated. Not too many people. I told Dash Kingston, and he's like, "I'm like, Watertown, New York." He's like,
"It's literally a rock throw."
I know Buffalo.
Yeah, no, Kingston's a cool city though. All right, Dash. Did you line up? You got the hard hidden tactics questions, I'm sure.
Hit me with them. I'll answer them to the best of my ability.
I guess. So, because the thing is like, I'm gonna be honest. When I saw the results of that draw and I saw Sporting, my first reaction was, ready? Fuck.
I was with Arsenal the last round, to be fair.
It was because the thing is like, and when I saw Arsenal draw you guys, I'm like, okay, I need to see how this goes because I had a gut feeling that you guys would knock Arsenal out because a couple of reasons, because Premier League teams choke in the latter half of the in European competitions, as well as Premier League teams are dumb. Like tactically, they're stupid. You're
not special. You're not. Yeah.
So like outside of Pep Guardiola, because like Pep Guardiola just like outdoes himself sometimes and gets beat by some of the most tactically inferior coaches, and I just lose my mind every time he loses. But like Mikel Arteta, Ten Hag, like Klopp, all these guys where I'm like, these guys aren't wizards. All they do is just have big, strong, fast guys that do gegenpressing, and a team that has any sense of tactical discipline, they go through them. Like, for example, the fact that Antonio Conte is doing decent in the Premier League and won a Premier League shows the quality of coaching, because I don't rate the dude. I think the dude is insane. But the thing is like, I'm kind of curious because, like, for example, you guys played Arsenal with a 4-3-3, and you're saying that they've played consistently with a three-man defense. So I'm a little bit interested because, like, for example, Benfica run a 4-2-3-1. They run that star formation. Porto, I don't know too much about Porto. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really study them that much.
It's a little similar to Benfica. It's not too dissimilar from them.
So, like, despite the fact that, like, for example, looking at the recent game against Arsenal, Ugarte got a red card or yellow into a red
he almost
card.
killed a man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a brutal challenge.
So it's like, and I was reading some of the comments and some of the forums about Sporting, and you're a team that punches people in the mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. We're a pain in the ass team.
Yeah. And kind of looking at it here too, like, for example, the second leg, the return leg, 1-1 against Arsenal. Jacko scores in the 19th minute. You guys come back with Gonklevs and equalize it again.
Yeah.
The first game, your first leg, I thought that one was more impressive than the second one.
We could have gone up 3-1. That's why it was impressive. We almost left with a win.
Yeah. So the reason why, and a lot of people might have slept on it, which I highly recommend you Juventini rewatch those two games. Arsenal take the lead initially at the 22nd minute.
Mhm.
Then Inacio gets the equalizer. And then Paulino takes the 2-1. And then Arsenal was blank after, because I don't own goals. I don't really count an own goal as like a goal for the team because it can take.
It happens.
It happens.
It's calamitous.
Yeah, it is. So in theory, 2-1. Arsenal couldn't get more than one against you guys. And then, like, when I was looking at the stats and the numbers of the match, so for example, Arsenal 14 shots, 4 off target, 7 on target, 3 block shots. You guys 6 shots on target, close to their 7 with less shots. So 10 total shots, and you had 6 right on the money. So it's your efficiency that scares the hell out of me. Because the thing is like, Inter, like, for example, I can give you the stats of the Derby d'Italia when we played against Inter. Inter had like roughly around 20 shots on target, or 20 shots, barely like 3 on target, and it matches our 3 on target that we had against them, and we got 1 goal. Should have had 2, but again, I digress on that one. So how do you define Sporting Club Portugal? Are you guys really like that pain in the ass team? Because the inception that I have on you guys is you're like Igor Tudor's Marseille. You are just aggressive, like smash mouth football.
We're a very odd team because, like, you brought up efficiency, and if you asked a lot of Sporting fans, we feel we've not been overly efficient. Like that Arsenal game, we could have gone up 3-1 and probably should have gone up 3-1. Paulinho missed the net. And then, like, literally a couple minutes later, Arsenal comes back and scores the calamitous own goal. I will also say we felt the draw was kind of fair because they had a few wicked chances in that first half. And we did get bailed out by Adon, who, if you don't remember him, he was the one who went viral for the horrendous game against Marseille. Gave up a brutal goal and then got kicked out like 5. He had a calamitous 15-minute cameo, essentially. But the 2 games against Arsenal were probably 2 of his best games in a Sporting shirt in over a year, I would say.
It looked great on the replays. Like when I was watching,
it was highlight reel save. It was very much like you're gonna add that to his YouTube highlight reel, his mixtape kind of thing. We're a team that we can create a lot of chances. We do have difficulty capitalizing sometimes. We tend to be a bit wasteful. Marcus Edwards in the last game too, even against Arsenal, he had a wonderful chance on a breakaway, and he shot it at Matt Turner's face. And I'm like, do anything else than what you did, which is just cut it across the opposite, chip him if you have to, do anything but what you did. So I think we're very much a bit of a smash and grab sometimes in that respect. We don't always smash when we want to. We tend to be very wasteful. So you don't want to give us a lot of chances because we're bound to score on at least 1. So the best thing to do is to limit them because we play with such wide players as well. We play with typically 3 center backs and then 2 wing backs, which basically operate like a 4-man midfield almost, and then 3 up front with the proper striker number 9 and 2 more kind of attacking wingers as well.
So it's almost like a 3-4-3 kind of similar to what we do. I got you.
Yeah, we play with the 2 mids and really, but yeah.
It's interesting that you say sometimes we smash, sometimes we don't. Looking at your recent numbers, so 3-0 against Bovista, the 2-2 against Arsenal, the 1-0 against Portomese, but again, 2-0 against Estoril, and then you absolutely bent Midtjylland and sent them home 4-0 on that one. So offensively, I mean, so again, maybe it's because we're Serie A folk, but the one thing that I wanted to say is because you guys have scored 49 goals in the Portuguese league.
Yeah.
You want to know where you guys would place if we put you in Serie A with that amount of goal scoring?
Absolutely.
Where do you think? Take a guess.
Because you brought up, I'm gonna say we're at least like top 6.
Higher.
Oh yeah, easy.
Are we like number 3?
Number 2.
2.
Well, really? Because
Napoli. Yeah, because Napoli's insane this year. That's the only reason.
Napoli might do a treble this year. Like it wouldn't shock me.
Well, I don't think they will because they're out of the
they're out of the cup, are they?
Oh, that's right. They're out of the cup.
They might do the
okay.
Well, they might. Yeah.
Double.
They might do a double this year. That's how good this Napoli team is.
Part of me wants
run
them,
away with that.
Yeah, part of me wants me for them to do the double just so they can sell Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen. Just
get rid of them now. Cash out while you can.
Leave.
Or would that give them an excuse to stay?
Nah.
No.
It might give excuse for one to stay, one to leave.
Yeah.
Because they want they wouldn't want to optically, you don't want to sell both your stars. You would like to at least keep one and sell one.
I think
they're useless without each other. They're only good because they have each other. Like if they don't have that link up, like you take one of those away, who do you replace Kvaratskhelia with? And how much do you have to spend to get that?
That's a good question, but you might get like 100 million to figure it out.
Sure,
you might get some money to
but De Laurentiis won't invest.
Yeah, he'd spend 20 maybe.
Yeah,
he'll say, we got 100 million. I'll spend like 10. He'll spend like what we spend. Which would be like our record transfers, like 10 or 15 million. Our record transfer like 16 million.
And he'll have to have it on a 2-year loan first, just to kick the tires.
Yeah, just in case you don't want to trigger that buy option, get around financial fair play and stuff.
Here's a good question: which player would you take away from Juve for the match?
Ooh, that's a good question because you guys have a couple. I would say Pogba, but Pogba doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really include him.
We're not going to count Paul Pogba. You know what, Di Maria, because he terrorized us when he played for Benfica, and he's just such a threat. I think if we don't have Hector Bellerin healthy, our second choice right back is Gaio will get torn to shreds by Di Maria, I think.
See, I think you're missing a player, man. I think you need to watch out for Fagioli, Nicola Fagioli.
That's another one I was thinking.
He is the ankle reaper of Turin. He has just been taking ankles like it's nobody's business. Like
those slide tackles you guys put out. Try harder.
We're gonna have to. Well, we don't have you guard for the next game. It's funny because we haven't had our proper top 2 midfielders for either of the Arsenal games because. Hidemasa Morita, Japanese international, was out for the first leg. He was in for the first leg. Ugarte was suspended. Ugarte came back, and Morita was suspended for the last game. And now Morita's back. Ugarte's suspended because he almost killed a man in the Arsenal game. So we haven't had for these 2-3 games. We haven't had like our proper midfield. So we might not see it again until potentially the return leg in Lisbon. The 2 men that have kind of held the glue together in this mid.
Which is interesting because for the first time in multiple years, we actually have a consistent midfield of Rabiot, Locatelli, and Fagioli. Gaetano wants to know, do you like Chiesa? And we don't mean church.
I don't mind Chiesa. Chiesa's pretty good. That's the thing. You guys have several players that scare me.
And several of them are extremely iffy if they're going to play.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think when we were looking at the draw, on our show, we said if we want a team that we could match up against, it was going to be you or Roma. We felt that was a matchup we could handle. I just feel like the style was complementary to us. We looked at United, and I know United have kind of been overrated. I think they are a bit overrated, but
any Premier League team is overrated.
I still don't want United. It's just the name; it scares you. Even it's like Barcelona. Even when Barcelona's bad, you're like, I still don't.
I would want Barcelona because then hey, you might actually be awarded the win for ref fixation. So
I want them next year when like everyone's had to leave because they just can't pay anybody.
They'll somehow sell enough like weddings in their they'll
in their stadium. They're gonna be
and,
like, we've activated lever number 85.
Yeah, pretty soon there'd be like funeral services in the stadium just to
They're gonna
cover
do
costs. They'll figure it out.
everything.
I've said this to all my Barcelona friends where I'm like, guys, man, until you guys get rid of Xavi as your coach, you're a joke in Europe. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, he is the definition of just above his depth. He's just.
But they're doing so well in the league, though. That's the thing.
The league's a
It's
joke.
true,
Like,
but
Real
the
Madrid's
league's a joke because those two teams run it like a cartel.
Well, and then here's the other thing too. So, like, their 13th and 14th place team is in a relegation battle.
Yeah.
From 13 to 20 is all 3 points apart from relegation. That is how bad that league is.
Well, there is a reason why, like, Barca in particular has pushed for the Super League, right? Because it's basically their way out of economic hell.
Yeah,
like it's guaranteed fixed money for them. I know your owners are still kind of supporting it. I don't know what you guys feel about that.
So we're for it because we just don't like the Premier League. Because like the thing
That's
is
fair.
like,
that's understandable.
Because like the thing is like Juve is owned by Exor, which is probably one of the biggest corporations in Europe. That's not oil money. So like they've injected capital injections to help the club, like 300 and 400 million respectively. So it's like they'll inject it, but for them, they're more so kind of like, hey, solve your own shit, but we got you if we need you. So like for example, the Dusan Vlahovic purchase, which we're all kind of like, I don't know if that was a good idea, but that was funded by Exor. Exor's like, because hey, we need some centerpieces for the squad. Exor's like, sure, daddy, I got you. But the thing is like we're there, but like for me, the Super League for me more so is just kind of like, hey, the Premier League is ridiculous right now because, again, they're funded by NBC, which is owned by Comcast, which is one of the biggest broadcasting companies, if not the biggest in the world. They own Universal Studios.
Yeah,
so
they're massive.
They are pumping $2.6 billion a season into the Premier League. And like, for example, we did this episode once a while back where we were breaking down a lot of the Premier League's TV revenues. So Norwich City, that got relegated last year, you want to know how much they received from TV deals?
Oh, it was like hundreds of millions. It was
170 million euros.
Yeah.
For their transfer budget. So like, for example, I don't know how familiar you are with Italian players, but like Nicolo Zaniolo. So Bournemouth, team that's in a relegation battle, was able to drop 40 million cash for him. Of course, he turned it down, didn't want to go there, but they're able to do that.
Well, it's
like
Bournemouth. There's prison sentences that are more lenient.
Yeah, so it's like that, where it's like, for example, if you look at Juventus or you look at Serie A, where we have a 20th place team, or near there, it's like Sampdoria or like lower squads like that. They can barely pay 10 million for a player, let alone the budget there. So the thing is, and one of the main motivations for the Super League, the reason why PSG is against it, because PSG is just trying to chase that Champions League ghost that they'll never get.
Yeah.
But it's essentially all of these teams that go into the Super League get a fixed income, or it kind of, I don't want to say it Americanizes the sport, but like the one thing that United States in the US do very, very well is the salary cap, and X amount of teams can spend X amount of money, is where you can do a proper rebuild. Like, for example, you can retool squads and then compete in 2 or 3 years, or you can do stuff like that, where it's like the only team that's capable of retooling and competing in football right now is Real Madrid. Nobody else. Like Bayern Munich, I'm going to say it. People might go crazy on me for it, but with Nagelsmann, I don't think they win anything with Nagelsmann. I think he's probably one of the most overrated tacticians I've seen at Bayern Munich. Carlo Ancelotti wasn't the best there, but I think this Nagelsmann's character is meh, because it's like everyone's like, oh, well, he beat Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi. I'm like, dude,
everybody's been doing that for the last.
Everybody's been doing that.
Though,
yeah, everybody's been doing it. That's not an achievement. Where it's like you look at how Bayern Munich play against certain tier of teams and how they fumble it. So it's more so like the Super League is able to keep the Real Madrids, the Juventuses, and all of them on an equal financial playing field, where they all get X amount of dollars to invest in the club, and they're able to do that. And you generate more money because, again, you make more money off of it than what UEFA would do. Because for me, I think UEFA's kind of dumb because all they are is just hosts. They don't really do anything. They don't.
They just regulate. Well, they regulate the tournament. I think part of it too is UEFA to blame because they continually skewed it to the same couple teams, so they continually kind of caved in. So there was, I think, for me and a lot of fans who are more kind of anti-Super League, it was just like a sense of entitlement of And they screwed it the first time they announced
Oh, they
it.
did. They
showed their hand immediately, so no one's going to trust them because we know what they want to do, which is closed system. And I think you still need that element of, for most people, you need to earn it. That's kind of where I stand. I think if UEFA gave half a shit about Europa League, because it used to be the UEFA Cup was like the hardest one to win.
It was.
Because you would get these just fucking killers in it all the time, and then they slowly kind of took away, they stripped away the Cup Winners' Cup, which is now just a trivia footnote, essentially.
Yeah.
And they've just kind of put all their eggs in the Champions League basket.
But that's what they did, because the thing is they thought they would make more money from it, because like back then the Champions League was only for champions.
Yeah.
So you would have a lesser pool, but then, no one, because everybody watched in the 90s, the Europa League was the league to watch.
Yeah.
Like the 90s, it was insane. Like, yeah, that incredible.
You look at the killer teams that won the Europa League, like that Inter team with R9 was incredible. I look at even some of the teams in the early 2000s, like the Mourinho team with Porto. I look at that phenomenal Liverpool team as well, with like Gerrard and Carragher. Like it was a big, important competition.
Here's a crazy thing. Like Parma as well. So like, for example, Parma with Buffon, like that was an incredible run. So it's like so UEFA's like, whoa, why don't we just do that? But the problem is like Parma's and those and Inters are Europa League teams. They're good for the Europa League. I'm throwing a little bit of a jab towards Inter, but they're, this season I think the Europa League is actually more entertaining than the Champions League this year.
I've long said this. I think the Europa League breeds better chaos than the Champions League.
Yes.
I think the Champions League has become just, it's going to be one of these.
It's going to be Real Madrid.
It's going to probably be Real Madrid and
Bayern.
One of Bayern or a Premier League team that's just got essentially a blank checkbook.
Yeah.
Chelsea or Liverpool.
And the thing is like, you got to give credit to Real. I mean, they are the gold standard of how a club is run. So like, you give them credit for them being consistent. But like, the thing is like the 2010s, like the Champions League was probably like the last decade, hands down, the most predictable thing ever. Like, for example,
Real Madrid won like 5 of them in the last decade, right? Like, it's crazy.
So it's like you have, you had the oddball of like that underdog Chelsea team, and then like, for example, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and then Bayern Munich, and then like we started towards the end, we started shifting and seeing more Premier League teams. But like, it got to the point where like, who the Final Four was, and then anyone that was there was just, either you punched above your weight and that's it. Where it's like, you look at the Europa League, especially like this season and last season, where it's like, who's winning it? Like last year, it was the same thing too. Because like, for example,
Frankfurt in the final,
like Frankfurt went to the new camp and told Barcelona, like, bend over, boy, we're taking this, and they
took over that stadium.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Like, it was unbelievable.
So you've got a couple of questions from Gaetano. So he wants to ask, why are you guys behind Braga in La Liga? Fiorentina won against Braga, and Fiorentina is terrible.
And I think mostly is for people that don't really follow the Portuguese league is if you don't follow, there's 3 teams.
We're a very top. we're kind of like La Liga, but to a more extreme. We're a very top heavy league. Braga is one of those teams, though. They're a tricky team. Like, they've always kind of been in Europa League. They've always kind of been a thorn in most of the bigger team side. I'll include us in that. We just kind of had a lot of injuries and health issues at the beginning of the season. Not that that's an excuse. We dropped points against teams that we should have been beating as well. I remember at the beginning of the season, like, we had a disaster game against Porto. We had a nightmare start to the season. We had like a disaster game against Porto. Away, just not a great first half of the season, just decimated left, right, and center by so many different things. But Braga's not a bad team, but they're not a great team. But they're always a team that domestically in Portugal, they're always kind of in it for European spots. They're always in with a shout for one of the 2 domestic cups kind of thing. So they're not an easy team. I do think Fiorentina caught them on a really bad day. Because like, we played Braga this season, and they held like a 3-3 draw in our opening game. And they just held Porto to a draw. I think they just held Porto to a draw at home as well this past weekend.
So they would be similar to like a Fiorentina team. There's a few years where they do all right. They might get into the Conference League or something, but
they're almost always in the Europa League. Like, they're always in the Europa League.
They're even better. So
Braga's consistently
more like a Lazio. I was thinking.
Yeah, they're consistently like within the top 5 for Portugal. They're always kind of in there. They had a couple runs. They had one run where they went to the Europa League final. They lost. That was when Portuguese teams decided we're going to run the Europa League for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
They had a couple Champions League appearances in the early 2010s. They're big. They're kind of a club that if they had a bit more money behind them, they could do some damage in the Portuguese league and make some runs.
I gotcha. So the next question from Gaetano is asking about the Super League with the new format. So what does the Portuguese folk think? And just to kind of give people some background on it, it's 4 divisions. Again, it's a promotion based per division. So like, for example, you start, certain teams within that respective area start at the 1 division and they work their way up until they get to the elite tier and getting more financial incentives. So just kind of giving it two cents from my opinion. I think it's great because then that gives those Eastern European or their smaller country teams, they start in that 4th division and they keep winning, they build their way up into the next divisions, and then they can get more money and then keep building. It's a sustainable path to build more financially better clubs in Europe. But go ahead, Richard.
This is the format they should have rolled with the first time.
Yes.
I think if they had rolled this out the first time, they wouldn't have received the backlash. And I think the issue now is because we've seen what they did the first time, no one trusts them. And that's just kind of the consensus among most Portuguese people, I would say too, is it's just we don't feel like we could trust Florentino Perez and Barcelona, who are committing match fixing and literal fraud. So those aren't exactly the people we want in charge of European football, because I don't think anybody outside of those 2 teams feels like they would have their best interests in hand other than themselves. That's the only issue I think people take umbrage. The format's a way better. It's a market improvement, but they're still in the back of a lot of people's minds of, yeah, but you've shown your hand and one of you is openly committing fraud and match fixing, and that's not people we want running the sport.
Yeah. And the big thing is, and the funny thing is and there's not that much news coverage on it, because when we got allegedly accused of it and we were exonerated of it from 2006, found not guilty, nothing there. They're not getting ran through the dirt like we are, and we still are getting run through for that.
I think Spain's so much more of a top heavy league now than Italy was at that time too. So I feel like the Italian league and federation felt they could afford it, because they still had Inter was a good team. AC Milan had just won a Champions League the year prior. Roma was a team with a lot of stars. Lazio was a decent team. La Liga's kind of Barca, Real, and it's kind of a drop off after that, right? There was at least in Italy, they felt if we lose one, we still have 5 or 6 other teams to fall on. Whereas in Spain, you lose one, you're fucked. Like, you're losing a lot of money and TV revenue and sponsorship, right?
Hey, Tobias has disdain for Juventus because we took away Ronaldo from Real Madrid. So like, that guy is an absolute joke. He's like, oh yeah, watch out for a snake. And I'm like, bro, you got a team that committed fraud from 2001 to 2018.
And you're only just figured it out now.
Like, yeah, you guys just figured it now. Any dude with eyeballs could tell you that. Hey,
we've had our own match fixing issues in Portugal as well. Like, Porto was found. We know they fixed games, but the issue with the Portuguese justice system is because the evidence was obtained illegally, they couldn't use it in trial. So even though we had tapes of Porto officials like bribing refs with like money and cash and women, you're not allowed to use it in court.
Sounds like a Mourinho.
So they actually got off with like a point deduction, and that was it.
You sure that was a Mourinho that was orchestrating that? Because he seems like the kind of Mourinho's. So here's the funny thing about Mourinho. So the reason why we like to joke about him. So coach of Roma, right? So Lazio and Roma have an under 14 derby between each other. Mourinho pulls up with the first team to intimidate 14-year-old kids. That is Jose Mourinho hooliganism at its finest.
You know what? I kind of respect it, though. That's a power move.
It is. It is. He literally went in there, just was like, and then they're like, I need an adult. And he's like, I am an adult.
I am an adult.
I am Jose Mourinho.
I kind of respect it. It's a power move.
It is.
Oh my god!
Like, there is absolutely no need for it, but it's also hilarious. And like,
he's perfect.
Only he could get away with that too, because he's such an outlandish like character. Like, no other coach, like, you wouldn't see Pep do that. Pep, we just be like, you bald fraud, shut up. Like, what are you doing?
Pep was just like this. He's like, I think.
Keep thinking, Pep.
I think No, we have to play like this. Holland over here. Kevin De Bruyne, you give him the ball.
And he goes.
And he goes. Why are you not going?
And you get Rafa Benitez, where everything has to be very compact.
And then you got
Spanish coach,
Antonio.
there's something about them.
Yeah, you got Antonio Conte. That's like, hey, you know, Tottenham. They never play for anything. So these guys
True.
He absolutely cooked them. It was actually. It was like
he cooked them, but like even a lot of their own fan base, like, oh shit, he's got a point.
He's not. It's valid. He's not wrong.
Like,
he's not wrong. But yeah.
Speaking of coaches, let's talk about yours there. Ruben Amorim.
Yeah.
What's he like? You know, is he like the players type of manager, or is he very like rigid tactically?
I say he falls in between because like he when he loves a player, like he loves that player and he'll do his best to help them out in any way possible and he'll play them. But man, when he doesn't like you, he will ship your ass off to the B team. Like nice. he's an interesting coach. We picked him up from Braga, funny enough. We paid a 10 million release clause for him, which was absurd at the time because COVID was about to hit, or COVID had just hit.
Okay.
And we had like $0. We're a team that continually just doesn't have money, so that blew us away. The next season, he almost goes undefeated to win us, and we win the league, which was our first like 19 years. So he's basically got sainthood for the team now. He's an interesting coach. He loves his three at the back. He loves his wide play. He loves to play those wingers, you know, at least one super ultra defensive midfielder. He doesn't really budge off that formation too much. I think he's been accused by some Sporting fans, and myself included at times this year, of just being a little stubborn and being a little bit behind the eight ball. He just kind of, you know, one player that kind of divides a lot of opinion is Ricardo Esgaio. He's our right back. I'm sorry to attack you again, Ricardo, but you deserve it sometimes. You know, he's not a dreadful player by any stretch of the imagination. I've seen far worse play for my team, but he's just not great. Like he doesn't do much going forward, which isn't ideal when you're supposed to be a wing back in an attacking team. The joke is he never makes a forward pass. It's always a lateral or backwards pass. He doesn't like to take people on. It's like, why are you playing this guy when we need a goal right now, kind of thing? Why is he still on? Like, sub him off. We did pick up Hector Bellerin from Barcelona, and the little bit of time that he's played the Sporting shirt, he's been very fun to watch. So unfortunately, wasn't healthy for the Arsenal game, which would have been a homecoming for him. But yeah, back to the coach. There's some people, not me personally, but there's people that were kind of hailing him as the next Jose Mourinho coming out of Portugal, this kind of Portuguese, you know, wonder kid. And I would say pump the brakes a bit, because the last time we did that with a coach was Andre Villas-Boas from Porto, and that didn't work out quite as well. So that's why people need to slow down a bit. But he's a very tactically sound coach. He's also a young coach. Like Ronaldo's the same age as him. He's 30, he's 38. Well, he retired. He had a lot of knee issues towards the end of his career. So he retired early, but he played for Braga, played for Benfica, played for the national team for quite a bit. So he's very tactically knowledgeable, but he is also a young coach, and sometimes it does show that he's still kind of learning the game a bit. Like he's got a lot, like at least 20 years of coaching left in him at a decent to high level, I would say.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Yeah. Like 38, you're like most coaches are barely starting out at that age, and you've already been coaching for 3 years.
Yeah, oh, that's pretty cool. And I mean, we've seen some of these young coaches as well. They bring fresh ideas to the table, maybe some new tactics, and yeah, sometimes that's all you need is something a little bit different. So, yeah, I mean, this is coming off the back of Freiburg, who have had their coach for like 12 years. So
yeah.
I know, right?
You don't see that a lot in any sport, like coaches staying for longer than 5-6 years. It's very seldom you see that.
Yeah. No, wild. So it'll be different just in that regard, right? It's these little nuances that we're teasing out, which is why exactly we want to have somebody like so well versed in.
Yeah, because we tried getting some for Freiburg and we couldn't find anybody, and like everyone that were just like
Freiburg fans are far and few between in North America.
Yeah, they were either too young or too German. We found out.
Yeah, there was no in between. Because like we did a video where it was like we're kind of doing some intro into Freiburg, and it's like You got mixed
Don't
reviews
know.
because like you got like the diehard like German folks that are like
You
you guys suck.
We're
Or like my favorite comment was one of them was like, "Oh, congratulations, you can read a Wikipedia article," and I'm like, okay, great, sure, all right,
people are
fine.
mean on the internet, man.
We didn't, and here's the funny thing is we didn't say anything bad about Freiburg.
Yeah.
No,
Like we were talking about it, just hey, hey Juventini, this is who they are, this is what they do, this and this and that. We even were like, here's some pictures of their city, here's a map of where they're at, and all that other stuff, and then yeah, and it's like my best German accent, but yeah, it looks like you are very good at reading the Wikipedia, and it's like, well, okay, great. What do you want me to do, man? It's just like trying to give you some content here, and I just got absolutely shit on.
Yeah, you're trying to do your best of a situation. Like you try to figure it out, and we've had that the odd time too, where it's like we don't really know this team well. We got to do some fucking homework, and we do what we can. Like it happens.
Yeah. The funny thing is, it's been our best video because there is zero Freiburg content in English. We were the only people that did it.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's not much Portuguese football content in English. There's a few good people, like Tom Kundert's a journalist. He just to share him. Aaron Barton from Proxima Jornada. There's a couple guys that do really good coverage. If anybody knows Zach Lowy from Between the Lines, he does it now. But there's not a lot of Portuguese coverage because we're kind of one of those weird, obscure outside the top 5 leagues, right? And then you got us, which is even more niche. We're going to focus on this one specific team.
There's still so many Portuguese abroad, though. You would think that
there is, yeah.
I mean, you could say the same thing for Juve, because like for example, with Juve content creators, like you have the big dog, which is Gigius Juve, Beppe, and I'm sure you know him as well. And then you have like for example, like the middle tier, which is for example all Juve cast, Bianconeri Zone, and us, where all 3 of us are in that little conglomeration, and then maybe some like I don't know, some indie channels outside of that, but like as far
there's
as
a couple like solo dudes, as well as Doc Cultural Boy. I think he went like
he covers
short.
everything. He covers everything now.
He's flexed a bit, gone the other way.
Yeah, but like even like for example, I don't think there's really outside of IFTV, like there isn't really too much from what I've seen as far as like mainstream like footy channels on like other Italian teams.
AFTV's kind of the AFTV was the big one for Arsenal too. Like there's very few like outside of the English teams, it's kind of obscure after that, right?
It is, yeah. And that's one of the reasons why the Premier League is so big, is because English is the biggest language on the planet.
It's the easiest to pick up and follow for people abroad.
For so many people.
No, and then like, you look at their market too. Like for example, the Premier League, they've sold that stuff all the way. Like for example, India, which has billions of people there, so it's like you literally have that as a market. Because like for example, so when I went to college, I was right by the international student wing, and I had a lot of students that were in from India, and I used to play footy, and we'd get all together and play footy. All of them were either wearing Chelsea, Manchester United, not Man City, because Man City wasn't big back then. Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Norwich, Brighton, like a bunch of these, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, do you guys not watch any other leagues? And they're like, no, the only thing that we have back home is the Premier League. So it's like,
whereas like growing up in Canada, like as a kid, we got spoiled for a bit because you got to watch like you always got Premier League, we always got Champions League, and later Europa League. We got Serie A, we got La Liga for a while too, and it's kind of back, although TSN does shit with it. We got Bundesliga now, although Sports kind of also doesn't do a lot of shit with it. But you're kind of spoiled. You get a lot of different leagues, and then you also had MLS, and you always got the international tournament. So you're always kind of spoiled for choice. Whereas in a place like India, they're only showing like 1 or 2 leagues tops.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be Premier League's going to be one. It's like, okay, which league do we feel like picking up second? And a lot of times it'd be La Liga, which is why we always saw like in school an influx of Real Madrid and Barca shirts as well.
Yeah, especially during the Messi Ronaldo era, everybody was picking up La Liga.
War.
But that's what happened to us though with Ronaldo, is that we started picking up all these fans from India because Ronaldo came to Juventus, and then they all left. They were gone.
But you know, here's the funny thing about it is because like, you know, this is kind of tying back to the Super League research that we did, but the moment Ronaldo left Real Madrid, La Liga stock tanked.
Yeah.
As far as spending and
everything.
funding that went in there, where it was getting to the point where Serie A became the second, as far as money coming into the league, was the second most profitable league, and then Ronaldo left, and but it was insane because it's like back then, La Liga was like the talk of the town because you had Messi and Ronaldo. So broadcasting, everybody wanted that stuff. And then like the second Ronaldo left, and folks,
And then Messi
not
shortly after was
yeah,
what killed them too.
yeah. And it's like, folks, I'm not here trying to, Messi's or Ronaldo's better with this. I'm talking about it from a financial set point because I know this is going to trigger somebody. But the second Ronaldo left and you lost that Ronaldo Messi rivalry,
The interest
everybody bought
faded.
out. Everybody bought out. Everyone bought a different streaming service. They all went to the Premier League. So like it was just interesting because like I wish I could show you the graph, but like you could see it La Liga and the Premier League. So La Liga was ahead of the Premier League, and then boom, like it doesn't even gradually. It just
it's like jumping off a cliff. It's
Yes.
unbelievable. And it's the cult of personality a player like that brings, right?
Yep.
It's like if Michael Jordan went from Chicago, like the Chicago Bulls, to whoever. Like, well, we see it even in basketball. Like when LeBron James goes to a team, it's pandemonium.
Well, I mean,
like the decision was a TV broadcast. That's how insane it was. Like,
yeah, I mean, Griezmann.
like that's the only comparable I can think of. Like, it's just this one or in this case two larger than life individuals that just captivated people. And the second one dipped, they're like, all right, bored. What else is new? What are we doing?
No. What else is fancy?
Yeah.
And so, I want to talk. I mean, we're bouncing back and forth, but we get back to. I mean, when it's just me and Dash, it's completely off the rails. Anyways, when we have somebody here like from the outside, we have to be a lot more professional. And like, okay, we got things to talk. Okay, so we mentioned 3-4-3 is kind of what we've seen. Is that what we're expecting going forward? Like this is the formation?
I would say it's a safe bet to kind of expect that formation. It may shift to a 4 depending on the situation, but I think safe bet, that's probably what you can expect is the 3 at the back, the 3 up top, and then the kind of 4 in the middle with the 2 wing backs and the 2 midfielders.
And in terms of the squad rotation as well, are we seeing the same guys? I know you talked about some injuries and red cards and whatnot, but overall, are we like seeing the same guys on the pitch every single week, or is there that squad rotation? Is your schedule
there's a bit of it for sure. I think the team we kind of put up against Arsenal in that second leg is basically going to be the team you probably see. You might see depending on the midfield, they might decide to put Pedro Gonçalves up at the wing instead of in the midfield, who he was the one who scored the worldie, by the way. You might see Nuno Santos at left back as opposed to Mateus Reis, but you won't see too many changes. If you see any changes, it might be at center back because our captain, Sebastian Coates of Liverpool infamy, has kind of dealt with some knee issues this season. We were actually questioning why he's on the Uruguay call-up for the international window because he's not looking great. Not play-wise, just his knees looks shambolic. Yeah. So that might be the one big thing we're missing, but we picked up some random dude from Midtjylland who was playing in friggin' second division in Portugal called Diamande, and even Arsenal fans are like, who is this dude? He's a fucking tank. I'm like, you're playing Division 2 in Portugal like 2 months ago. We just picked him up, and
pay him the 85 million so we can purchase this guy just for him to turn us down and say, I want a serious club, not Arsenal.
Yeah, like he literally was playing in like Portuguese second division on loan, and he was a Midtjylland player, and we picked him up for 7 million or whatever. And at the time, like even myself, I'm like, why are we spending this type of money on a dude who's playing Division 2 in Portugal? And we've been playing him, and he's been phenomenal. So like, I look like a dumb idiot.
I love it.
He just looks like this random like football manager pickup that you just find, right? So you won't see too many changes, but that might be the only odd name in is just at center back and maybe along the wings.
And sometimes that happens. We're kind of toying with a bit of a from second division center back there with Federico Gatti. He had a pretty crap start, but the past 2 games he's been on fire. So I mean, who knows? This guy from the second division, maybe he's ready for prime time.
They pan out, right? Like you see some random guy from like look at Mitrovic, they're like, oh, he'll never score in the Prem, and he's like playing amazing because they figure he's just a championship player.
Well, it's just the Premier League. It's not that hard to score in there. Just cross and pray.
Yeah, but English fans I find are a little bit dim-witted. They have a tough time believing football outside of England exists.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember when Casemiro signed for Manchester United. He's like an unbelievable midfielder, one of the better midfielders, certainly in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I saw people like, "Oh, is he going to be okay?" I'm like,
You don't know him?
Like, he's a 5-time Champions League winner and a Brazilian national team starter. I think he'll do okay. I think he's going to be fine. But that's the level
funny.
That's the level of like almost obliviousness to the outside world.
So
like, some of the Premier League fans have.
I had a moment yesterday. So there's, again, because Canada, there's not too many soccer football fans out there, but there's a few, and I've kind of like noticed them. Like one guy, he was wearing a TFC shirt one time in the gym, and I'm like, "Oh, you're a TFC fan." And then we start talking. Turns out he's an Arsenal fan. He's that asshole that has the Arsenal license plate in the park.
One of these.
Yeah. So everyone, Man U, like mostly Man U, really. There's 3 or 4 of them.
I was Man U as a kid. Like I can have
kids make mistakes.
He was like, I was a kid. I wanted to disavow everything as a child.
I know I made a mistake. I cheer for Sporting. Like I made some mistakes in my time.
No. But
I was almost convinced to be an Inter fan because of the black and blue when I was a toddler. But my dad was. No, I'm just kidding.
got smacked. But yeah, and anyways, I had to go to the warehouse to pick up a package, and the guy, you got to sign the paperwork and give it to the guy. He was wearing just like a German T-shirt, whatever. Said had the eagle, that stuff. And I was just like filling out the paperwork, and he was talking to his coworker about soccer. I'm like, "Are you a soccer fan?" Like I just peeked at like the German.
When you find one, you're like, "That's my guy."
He's the first guy at work that isn't a Premier League fan. He's a Bundesliga fan. He's a Bayern fan, of course. But team. But it doesn't matter. I found on Premier.
But here's the thing: that guy was probably a Wolfsburg or a Leverkusen fan, and then Bayern found out and bought him. So.
Bayern saw his tracker like a Wolves sign.
Wolves sign. You're welcome to the Bayern Munich fan club. We have the strudel. You like it's good. It's good. Very good.
Oh man,
my friends when it's funny because my friends who just started to get into soccer and they're not. Thank God they're not Prem snobs. They kind of watch a little bit of everything as well, but they're Bayern fans because when COVID was a thing. Bundesliga was like the first thing to kick off. So you're like, fuck, we're giving soccer a chance. Like, thank God I have people to talk to about this sport. Thank God. And you're not Premier League snobs. Like, you guys like are happy to rip on Premier League. Like, thank God. You need the variety.
Yeah, and that was an interesting time during the pandemic because my family has a restaurant, so we were only open for delivery. So I would literally we had 5 TVs. I had all the streaming services for the restaurant. So one TV had La Liga, the other one had Bundesliga, Serie A, and then we would put the occasional Premier League game. But because it'd be super slow, but we still had to watch the play. So I'm just sitting there with my feet up, just
chilling, waiting for it to happen.
Oh man!
No, like I said, I'll still go out of my way and watch a Premier League game if it's a decent game, but I prefer to try to diversify and watch a bit of everything.
I got you.
That's
and
the way to watch.
Folks in the chat, guys, if you have any questions about Sporting, throw them in. Richard does not bite.
Accusations.
He does not bite unless if you give him monthly payments of $5.99.
Yeah, I could use money.
What is this? The Inter podcast? Where you need to pay to listen to it? No, not around here. So, I guess going back to a question earlier, you were asked who to watch out for, essentially, and you mentioned Di Maria. I mean, good call. But who are we watching out for? There were like 1 or 2 players or a couple.
Don't close.
Yeah, watch out for Pedro Gonçalves. He, on his day, can just, obviously saw against Arsenal, but he's been one of our best players this season. He's, I think, 3rd domestically in scoring in the league. I would watch out for Marcus Edwards. He's very much poised for a big move. He is, he's the one who tore Tottenham to shreds in their game in Lisbon. And he actually scored against them in Tottenham. He's a former Tottenham Academy boy. That's someone to definitely watch out for. He is such a good dribbler. He's quick, sometimes lacking in the final third, but we could say that for anybody on the team. I'd watch out for those 2 in particular. Watch out for our center back Ousmane Diomande though, because he is a world beater and he could cause you problems just off a corner kick and just off the fact that you're not going to probably win a lot of one-on-one battles with him. He's a fucking vending machine. He's huge. He's a building with feet. This man is massive.
Love it.
So that's kind of the 3 to look out for. If Ugarte was healthy, I'd say Ugarte. But I will give honorable mention to his midfield partner, Hidemasa Morita, because he's been a lovely pickup for us this season. He's been a very pleasant surprise.
And did he come from Japan or was he in another?
He was playing in Portugal already, so he was playing out in the Azores for the team in the first division right now, Santa Clara. So he was already playing in Portugal, so it helped that he was already acclimated with the league and familiar with the style of play.
Nice.
So him coming into the team was somewhat seamless.
Did he participate in Blue Lock?
Oh, I have no clue.
I'm just kidding. It's a show.
Okay.
It's a show.
I know he was at the World Cup. He was at the World Cup this year for Japan, so he's a decent enough player.
So we got 2 questions right now. One from Gaetano again saying, "Are you afraid that Benfica can win the Champions League?"
Yes.
No comment.
A little. You know what though? Like they have a very good team. They're a very well-rounded team, I would say. There's very little weaknesses. They've built it well. There's a good mix of academy products coming in and kind of players they picked up. I think Roger Schmidt's done a wonderful job. Yeah, domestically they've kind of been a bit fortunate that we're not at our best domestically this season. Porto's not been great. There's some rumblings with them and their coach, but with the future right now. But I don't think it takes that much away from them. They've been phenomenal. I think they can absolutely beat Inter. It's who they get in the next round that would be the interesting one, because then you get to the super heavyweights.
I don't think Napoli and Milan are super heavyweights.
I think Napoli would be I think Napoli would be the tougher for them, because Napoli look like world beaters.
Yeah, but they got a history of choking in the clutch though.
Like, we'll find out soon. We'll find out in the next month or so with Napoli what they're all about. At least in Europe, because I think the league is theirs. It's basically you need to have the most monumental collapse in sports history.
Yeah,
for them to lose the league.
Well, they're known for it, so I wouldn't. They're not surprised about it. So Niket is asking you, are you a Portuguese national team fan?
Oh God, yeah, for sure. And you had to be, because like living in Canada, unfortunately our men's team wasn't great. I've always loved our women's team. Always kept up with them, supported them, and they've kind of flown the flag for Canada, being so competitive, being Olympic champions now, but up until recently, our men's team was just awful.
We covered that live, actually.
Yeah, growing up, we had to watch. Unfortunately for me and a lot of kids, you had to pick whatever your parented nationality kind of was, which for me was Portuguese. My first vivid memories of a tournament is actually Euro 2004, and crazy, they never played the final. We never got a winner of that tournament. But that's my first vivid memories. The shootout against England where the goalie took off his gloves and then scored the game winner. And, even though Greece beat us, we ended up beating France years later. And then it's funny because the year after was Sporting went to the UEFA Cup final and lost at home to CSKA Moscow, who I had never heard of up until that game. So I always say to people, that's when I should have got out, because 2 times your team's losing at home. I should have taken the hit then. Back to back years, I was like, that set me up for a lot of disappointment down the line. Big Portuguese national team guy, always follow the team. Even on our channel, we do some national team stuff. We'll probably have a Nations League review show in the next couple weeks.
Nice.
Once the international break's done. So,
speaking of which, this is your channel. I put it up on the screen for everyone to see. Please check them out. Tons of content there. I started listening to you guys as well, trying to get a bit of the skinny, just to see what's up as well. And it came to fruition, so this is beautiful. Regardless, check them out. Everyone, give them your support. It's
if you sub too, we're actually doing a shirt giveaway once we hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you're a weird kit fanatic like me, where you just kind of collect obscure kits, if you have some sort of affinity to sporting, we're doing a giveaway. All you gotta do is sub to the channel and tweet us on Twitter.
Yeah, Frankie's that guy. So if Frankie's still listening, he'll probably do it.
And we're covering shipping, and anybody who knows, anybody who's followed us on the show, we always bitch about shipping from our club store because it's the same as what we pay ourselves.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Because the Canadian dollar, for me and one of my co-hosts, Danny, sucks. It's like monopoly money compared to euros. It's useless. So it doesn't buy you anything. But the shipping, if we have to ship outside of Europe, it's $35 or something ridiculous.
Jesus.
After exchange. It's I remember when we won the league a couple years ago, I bought a scarf for me, and I bought a scarf for my grandfather because he's a big fan as well. And like the shipping worked out like the same as the scarves. It was ridiculous.
Oh,
For
man.
2 scarves.
And the problem is like there's no Macron anything in Canada, right? Like
no, well, we're Nike now, but like even then, like Nike doesn't do shit for us.
oh, they don't either. That's right. Okay,
They
that's
don't
the
do
that's the older
shit for
shirt
us.
you're wearing now, which
This
I
is an
love.
older shirt, yeah.
Yeah, I love that one, by the way. I love the dark.
We loved Macron. That I die on the hill that I think they always made the best shirts for sporting. The only problem with Macron, it's the same issue you run into with Kappa. Their sizing sucks. Their sizing is tight. So you have to size
very
up
European.
You have to size up like at least once, sometimes twice on the shirt for it to be a comfortable fit.
Yeah,
no, we're giving away a shirt. So if you want to win a free sporting shirt of your choice,
let's make sure. I hope I press the subscribe.
You're good and subscribe. You're good.
Yeah, right there. Subscribe. Okay, I did it because I mean that would be embarrassing.
Guys, here's their channel.
You wouldn't be the first people on YouTube to ever do that. Like that's happening far bigger YouTubers than us.
No, I know for sure, but still,
oh shit, I'm not even subscribed to my best friend's channel.
I'm showing this right now. So, question coming in from Helicopter. She is asking, which team do sport or I'm going to put a fun twist on this. So, kill or tolerate, Benfica or Porto?
I'll kill Benfica.
Wow.
And I'll tolerate Porto, but it's almost a coin flip.
Oh man,
Adrian Sousa, cover your ears. We do not associate with them. Cover your ears. No.
Yeah, probably Benfica. They're the bigger rival. They're the biggest team in Portugal, bar none. But it's very close. Like it could be either way.
I gotcha. Niket is asking or stating, he said, they should fire Roberto Martinez.
I agree.
He's going to ruin this generation of Portuguese players. So I know this isn't sporting related, but like, can I ask what the bleep your Portuguese FA was thinking hiring that guy?
That's a question that has no answer.
I got
you. I wish I could give you a proper answer for that. We were all as baffled. We would have sooner just kept the old coach than just go after Martinez. Because it's at very best a lateral move.
The one thing I just never understood is how you guys were never able to seduce Jose.
They said they never talked to him, but they're full of shit. We know they spoke to him.
Because
but he's always kind of maintained that he still wants to do club management. I think the job is his for whenever he wants it. I've always maintained that.
I really think, and this is my thoughts on it, but if he was the coach of the 2022 World Cup, I think Portugal wins it. That team was way too loaded.
He gets teams, like I said, he gets teams to run through a wall, and he doesn't take shit off of anybody. So he wouldn't put up with the Ronaldo antics that we kind of got in the tournament that were just distracting. He would have also nipped the press but said, I'm not answering a single fucking question about this. So if that's all you're going to ask, I'm not having a press conference. Whereas Fernando Santos was kind of a bit more conservative and would just kind of play off. But you could tell, no matter how much they said like this outside stuff is a distraction, it's a distraction. Like one of the very first press conferences, Fernando Santos and Bruno Fernandes, one of the leaders on the team, and a Ronaldo question comes up, and you can just see for like a split second they both go,
they're like, oh
fuck, here we go.
Like here we go.
It starts, and that's the thing.
Yeah. No, Ronaldo is good, no problem, is good.
And here's the thing: I have no problem with him being on the national team. He's not a starter. That's I've maintained he can't start anymore. He doesn't have the legs for it. His finishing is almost gone. I don't care how many goals you score against Saudi Arabian farmers, it doesn't count. Like that'd be like putting me against a group of 8-year-olds. Like it's not fair.
So that rolls into a question. First off, Farhad here, he's our boss, so he's coming in saying how's it going, checking in on us, making sure we're in line, you know. No, how's it going, Farhad? Glad you can make it in tonight. But there was a
question. Will Ronaldo return to Sporting? Do you want him back? I'll ask that.
You know what? If you had asked me this question a year ago, I think almost every Sporting fan would have said yes. I think after how he exited Man United and with the Piers Morgan interview, I think I don't think it can happen. I think the time for him to go back to Sporting would have been when he was either leaving Juventus or when he was leaving Madrid or leaving Juventus. And I would argue when he was leaving Juventus and looking for a club. But after seeing how he hoarded himself around Europe last summer, I know he did, to be fair, have a lot going on in his personal life as well, not to take away from that. but the optics of it still wasn't great, where he was being offered to every team under the sun, and they just were like, we're not taking him.
Yeah.
Either lower his wage demands or he's not worth it.
If
I don't think it's worth it, because I don't want someone who you don't want someone who's going to act like he's bigger than the club, which he absolutely will. And if he did that to Manchester United, there's no chance he wouldn't do it to us. It'd be nice for him to come back. I'm almost indifferent to it at this point. I don't think it's needed. We're also as Sporting fans very used to players saying we'd love to come back to Sporting and they never come back to play. Like Figo was very infamous for doing that. I know Italian fans will be familiar with Luis Figo.
Yeah.
For a multitude of reasons. One, his time at Inter, but also because he was supposed to sign with Juventus and then also sign with Parma in the 90s and got banned from Italian football for doing so at the same time. They said, you can't play here. But yeah, he was a player who did that. We've had a few players do that. The only player who actually did come back, to his credit, was Nani, who was one of my favorite Sporting players.
That was interesting.
He's had a couple. He had a loan spell and then a quick like half season spell before he went to MLS. But yeah, so we're kind of used to players kind of flirting with it, but I don't expect anything to come from it. I personally don't care if he comes anymore. Like, I don't even know if you can put up 30 goals or 20 goals in the Portuguese league at this rate.
To answer Farhad's question, I am Jose Mourinho. Okay, I prefer not to speak. Okay,
If he speaks, it's a big trouble.
I speak. If I speak, I get in big trouble. So I don't speak.
That's not the worst Mourinho. I've heard far worse Mourinho impression. That's like at the very least like a mid-tier to like mid-high tier Mourinho impression. That's one of the decent ones.
You know, I'm kind of interested. It's kind of interesting.
We don't have a lot to choose from.
Because for us, at least at this channel, it usually revolves around Del Piero a lot of the time.
Yeah, I did love Del Piero going up. I got to watch him. Juventus played Sporting in a game in Toronto at BMO Field, and he scored a wicked chip goal. That was right when you guys got Pirlo as well. Because I was like, when the fuck did Pirlo play for Juventus? I was so confused, but like,
yeah, wasn't even in the country for that one.
14-year-old me was like giddy because like Del Piero and Pirlo link up. Like, that's gonna be a dream.
Yeah,
it only lasted one season.
It's too bad. That's cool that you got to see it though.
Yeah, it was a fun time. Our Untouchable, I'm trying to think. I'd have to go back to the 80s. I'd have to look at guys like Benoit Fernandes.
Would you consider Nani a GOAT for the club?
No, I think he's a almost not cult favorite. He's a fan favorite. I wouldn't go GOAT. I would look at the guys who like won like titles in the 80s and like 70s. One of the big ones is Rui Jordão, who he played for the national team for a long time. He was very beloved by Sporting fans. He'd be one of them. If I'm going way back to like the dawns of time, probably our top scorer, Peroteo. He scored like 500 some goals in like 300 games, like just an absurd goals to game ratio.
Wow, that's.
We don't have like I guess like a Eusebio like Benfica does, or like a Rui Costa like Benfica, who's both won like significant trophies, but also is so beloved by the fans, because a lot of our star players have kind of burned us in the past. So it's kind of tough.
So yeah, and this is kind of like a follow-up question to that. So like, was it that most folks kind of treated Sporting at the time as like a stepping stone club?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some players did see it as a stepping stone. Like, I remember when our academy was kind of attacked, there was definitely some players, and I could see why you'd want to rescind your contract with the team after all that. Like, ultras coming in and like trying to beat the shit out of you at practice. But like Rafael Leao was a guy who like very much took advantage of the situation. You know, AC Milan guy now terrorizing the league, but he was like the ultras like he would like we're not gonna hurt you, you're okay. And he was like, oh, and obviously now he has to actually pay us 16 or 17 million because they said you unjustly like terminated your contract. Nothing happened to you. And it's very evident that you were using like the situation for personal gain, which is why his renewal with AC Milan has taken so long, because there's the issue of he owes us money. So that's kind of been a bit of a mentality of some players have treated us a bit like a stepping stone. Yeah. Bruno, I knew was not going to last long. Bruno dragged that team to trophies. He took a very bang average team that had no business winning anything to domestic double in 1 year. I was surprised we even kept him after his first year. I was surprised he lasted 2.5 years. He's one of my all-time favorites in a Sporting shirt, and he was just so fun to watch. He's for me my first favorite. I would call him the GOAT of the team, but I think if he had stayed with the team and never left, he'd be in the discussion just because of how good he was in a Sporting shirt.
Yeah, no, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, big player. I think he's world renowned at least. Probably. Yeah, people know his name for sure. That's a big name coming out of your club.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more liked at the moment than Ronaldo, I would say.
Yeah, I mean the bar is not high. Like you'd have to bring the bar is on the ground. You have to bring a shovel.
No, I was just trying to dig at Ronaldo.
But no, it's okay. It's okay.
You know,
I'm not this giant Ronaldo stan. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
I recognize when a guy's a dipshit.
Because the thing is, I'm going to be honest with you. So, like, and I'm going to tell you the Ronaldo experience from a Juventus fan perspective. Yes, he gave us more money, from branding and all that other stuff. But like, the dude was a pampered princess at Juve. Like, it was ridiculous. Because like the thing is like, he would train individually, wouldn't even train with the roster. Like, he would go and do these like activities and events with Ferrari and skip practice just to do these events with Ferrari. And the thing is like, for me, I was a Ronaldo stan when he was at Madrid and Man United. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
with
you and me both.
I jerked Ronaldo to worlds on end. He's the goat. Amazing. I love him. The goat.
Messi,
like,
plastic.
Yeah. like I was like Messi's a bum. But like the thing is like when he came to Juve, like the South Park meme where the guy's like creamed all over the place. Like that was me. That was me.
Holy shit, this shouldn't be happening, but I'm so excited. It blew everyone's mind.
Because like I remember watching that World Cup, and then like after the World Cup, that's when the news broke. I was like sitting there, I was reading football
during the World Cup, though. Like that's the thing. It took away from the World Cup.
It did, because like the second Portugal got eliminated, like all the rumors started flying.
Yeah, and it was like, what do you mean? It was very out of nowhere too, because there wasn't anything that led you to believe
that it was going to happen.
A move was coming, and that he wasn't happy at Madrid, right?
Yeah. So the thing is like there was like whispers like, oh hey, Juve might potentially try to launch a bid for Cristiano Ronaldo, and then like literally 2 or 3 days later, it just fucking blows up all over the place, and I'm sitting there like the giddy 20-year-old that I was at the time was like, Ronaldo, like I like lost my mind, and then we got him, and then it's like you start seeing all the reports and everything, and I'm just like sitting there, I'm like, really, man, this is what you do? Because it's like at a Ferrari event instead of training with the squad, and like the thing is, you could tell like Allegri was the only coach that kept Ronaldo in essentially reined in. Like, sorry, couldn't do it. Pirlo couldn't do it, and then the minute Allegri came back, Ronaldo's like,
I've gone. I'm not putting up with this.
Because like,
why he didn't do well with Eric Ten Hag, and to Eric Ten Hag's credit, he doesn't put up with shit. He says, "I'm not putting you above the club. You're on equal. We're a team here. It's not about one individual." And he doesn't seem to. He does not seem to understand that it's not just about him. It's when he plays on the field. Sometimes it's 10 versus 11. That was the feeling watching him the last year and a half.
That was kind of like how he was outside of his first year at Juve. His first year at Juve, it was like, it was an amazing Ronaldo where I was just like, oh shit, man, this guy is saucy as hell. And again, a lot of people are, you can down Massimiliano Allegri. And I'm kind of curious because I want to get your take on Allegri, because we asked that to an Inter fan about our coach. But, people can say what they want about Allegri, but Allegri knows how to manage players. And he's a
man manager.
He is. He made essentially, he made Ronaldo essentially have nearly double-digit assists and goals that first season. And people can arguably play, Allegri's negative tactics. And, go blow yourselves, people, because that irritates me. But, like, you look at Ronaldo when it swapped over to Sarri and Pirlo, where Ronaldo's work ethic, boom, completely went down into the ground. Because, like, again, Allegri expects you to be tactically disciplined. Like, for example, Dusan Vlahovic, who is our striker. Allegri expects him to press and give us some contributions to the defensive end. It's just stuff like that. So it's like, for me, and then, like, the news after Ronaldo left, things started to get leaked. Because, like, I don't care what people say. That all or nothing crap that was on Amazon does not cover the whole story.
No, they show you what they want. It's like when they did it with when they did it with the Maple Leafs, when they did it with Tottenham, they show you what they want to show you.
Since you mentioned the Maple Leafs, which team do you have there?
I am a Boston. You're going to see
Boston.
Boston Bruins.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah,
I like you better as a sporting fan.
Brief in 2011. I grew up, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're cheering for Vancouver, right?" And I'm like, "No."
No.
What? How can you cheer against the Canucks? They're Canadian. I was like, "Oh, pretty easily, as a matter of fact."
Quite easily.
Yeah,
quite
easy. I was overseas working alongside with some Americans at that time, and the news was on when Vancouver was riding, and I'm just like,
yeah.
no.
They're like, "Oh, not great."
Yeah,
Yeah,
but kind of just like
Boston. Sorry to say.
no,
That's
you're
fine.
fine.
Gets me
But
going.
like kind of just like looking at it though, it's just like I saw all those reports. I'm like, oh, man, really, man. Like I looked up to this dude because like the funny thing is like when you look at Ronaldo and Messi in hindsight, and we'll kind of bury the hatchet here per se, but like Ronaldo's end was absolutely catastrophic. Like
it was as bad as you could get.
Yeah, like
on paper and in practice.
Like I have never seen a goat just absolutely crash and burn like the way that he did. Like for example, Messi, for the amount of times that I've clowned that dude, people have clowned that dude. I still think that there's holes to his game. He won the World Cup. He got it.
He won a
you know?
World Cup. He won
it.
a World Cup. He won a Copa America.
I'm
Like
sure
he's got it. He's
got it.
completed. He's completed the sport. He's completed
Yeah,
it.
I'm sure in like maybe 5 or 6 years, there's going to be a scandal that busts out that the World 2022 World Cup was rigged and
Kind of like the '98 one.
Yeah, like I'm
thing.
just waiting because it's funny because right after Messi leaves Barcelona and like does some stuff with Argentina, Barcelona just absolutely gets hanged for. And here's the funny thing: from the years that Messi joins the club until he leaves, those are the years in question.
They were fixing games.
That's when they were fixing games. So
there's also always going to be something hanging over because PSG is owned by the Qatari sports investment, and the World Cup was in Qatar. So it was like kind of the golden boy winning it. So there's always going to be people that will look at it like that, and there's always going to be something fishy.
You got seven penalties, man, dude. 7 penalties in that World Cup. That was insane.
That's got to be close to a record.
It was the record.
Yeah, I assume so. I figured when they lost their first game, like there's no way.
Yeah,
there's no way they're going to win this. I was like, I don't believe.
I saw how they played, and I'm like, that's absolutely atrocious. But
that was like the 4 a.m. game I got up for, dude. I got up one day. That was the first of the 4 a.m. game, like 5 a.m. game days. I watched it and went into work, and I'm like, I can't do that again. Like, I'm gonna die for a month. Like, I just can't possibly maintain the schedule. But that was the one game I watched, and I'm like, oh my god.
So I got a question. I've got a question here for you as a Portuguese. What are your thoughts on Massimiliano Allegri's Juventus?
Having watched a little bit of Juventus, I do know you guys had the point deduction from the Italian Federation. Nothing stands out specifically. Like I don't look at them as like world beaters, but I do see some good stuff. I think you guys do have a competent midfield. I think at the back I see some sort of holes, but that's partly because you have like Alex. I think it's Danilo still there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So like
ironically, he's one of our best players. He converted to a center back. So
yeah, you have Szczesny, who on his day is just a wonderful keeper, but I've also seen him not be great.
Yeah,
I think at striker is interesting because you have Vlahovic, who seems like such a streaky player. So I'm hoping we get him on a couple of his off weeks.
He's been off for 3 months. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, with our luck, he'll decide to go sicko mode against us. That's the problem. That's what players have.
We are begging for it. I don't know. I don't know if your goalkeeper or your players need to dip their butts in pig blood or something like that, or some really weird shit. But like, yeah, whatever you do, just get them going.
Yeah, it's funny because our goalkeeper and our defense are finally starting to click for the first time really all season. So I could be catching you guys at the perfect time, the way it sounds. Because like one of our big starting back, Jeremiah St. Just, who, if anybody doesn't know who he is, he's the guy who ran like the length of the pitch to stop Martinelli on that breakaway. Yep. He is absurdly fast, and this is the like healthiest stretch he's had all season. So I have no worries if he's at the back handling a guy like Vlahovic, no problem. The
Yeah,
spirit of
but, you
Gotti.
know-
Gotti scares me a little bit too, to be fair. That's a guy who
yeah,
could give me something.
he's one of those defenders that can sit there and just dribble your entire squad. I
Yeah.
don't know how he can do it, why he can do it. He just can do it.
He's
I'm
a
just
def-
like,
he's
okay.
he's definitely like a midfielder that just got converted to a center back.
See,
but
that's
he's,
what
like,
Frankie says. That's what Frankie
kinda
tells us
tall.
every single live stream. Frankie's like, Dash, you got to hear me out. We need to convert Gotti into a defensive midfielder. I'm like, great, Frankie. I'm not the coach of the team, so I can't make that
I have
call.
no say in
I
this.
cannot do this.
Yeah, he's definitely like a midfielder who like kind of just got converted to a center back because he's kind of tall, unfortunately, which is just kind of the stereotype. It's like, you're 6 foot whatever.
You're 6'3", center back.
Center back. You're gonna be winning
done.
all the headers.
The only time that's never worked is Zlatan, because Zlatan looks at them and says, Zlatan no play defense.
Zlatan. What is this defense you
What is
ask me?
He's like, the only D I have is in my pants. But people brings up a very good comment before I break Dave. People is saying, what do you think about Filip Kostic?
I have zero thoughts on Filip Kostic.
Oh, you better have some thoughts on him, my guy, because he is as the memes would say, he is a cooking.
He's a cook. Oh, let him cook kind of thing.
Let him cook. My guy,
my guy
Kostic is cooking. So I'm gonna tell you this, man, because he's our left wing back. So you're right flank, like you said. Hector Bellerin ain't playing. Filip
if
Kostic,
it's his guy, we're gonna get cooked.
The Kostic Express is coming, my guy.
Oh, he won't have a lot in his way potentially.
I'm just saying, you gotta watch out, man. The Kostic Express is rolling because
if it's a one-on-one between him and Esgaio, Esgaio's losing that battle, I think 9 out of 10 times.
And then Niket is saying Sporting might be able to stop Dusan with your backup keeper's wife, girlfriend. So allegedly, give you some backstory.
I don't know if Franco Israel's got a girlfriend, but he probably.
So allegedly, Monsieur Dusan was getting freaky with the backup Serbian goalkeeper's wife. So allegedly, we don't know if that's true.
It's all allegedly.
Gaetano says Richard DeCilio is our goat. Yeah,
I saw that one.
Yeah, that's false information.
And then Farhad is saying, "Shh, don't tell him about Kostic." No, we need to tell him.
We gotta tell him.
I want Filip Kostic to look at him in the eye, bend them over, and just.
Also, one player to watch out for, depending on if he starts, is Nuno Santos, who scored the game winner, because he's just a maniac. He is he's quick, he can shoot, but he has no right foot, or he has no left foot, or whatever. So he's very much he pulled out a Rabona one game, and I'm like, bro, we're down 1-0. This is not time. But watching him if you watch him take the penalty versus Arsenal, he ran like he was going to fucking murder that ball. He ran through that ball. He was gonna run through the net. He is a bit of a shit house player sometimes, but he can cause some problems. So watch out for him as well.
That's pretty much Gotti. That's literally Gotti. So you know,
he did score a nice Rabona the other week. Actually,
I'm gonna show you this video. It's gonna give you a little bit of a taste of the Kostic Express. This is on our short
experience.
Yeah, this is on our shorts page, guys.
Back from under the ground.
So literally, he's a wing back that can just lace it.
Nice.
He was Europa League player of the season last season with Frankfurt before we purchased him for a very, very cheap 17 million.
That's all you paid for. That's not bad.
That's all we paid for Filip.
And in today's market, that's considered a steal.
Especially how much we typically pay for players.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have been on the end of some expensive transfers.
Yeah. So again, Richard, if you want to study some more on the Kostic Express, go to our shorts page. We have plenty of Kostic shorts.
I'll have to do some
Monsieur
research.
Kostic is quite the chef, quite the connoisseur of ankles and soles, because he takes both of them.
I guarantee he'll take, if it's his guy playing, he's taking one soul. I guarantee him over under one soul.
I want you to, and Pipo agrees with me if he's still listening, but we want you to sleep in fear under the name of Filip Kostic.
Okay.
Every time we hear Kostic,
I'll travel back and I'll send the word, guys. We need
send
to
it.
be aware of this
it's like an army comes up, tries to invade, and they kill everybody besides the one guy, and they're like,
it's like in 300, the Spartans, you tell them what you just saw.
It's I'm gonna try to look at the camera without knocking down. Remember what you see. His name is Filip Kostic. He takes your ankles and your souls. You have been warned. Tell them like the rest. Something like that.
Oh man.
Farhad saying, Dash, don't jinx Kostic.
You don't believe in the jinx
You don't-
here. No, there's no such thing. You just say whatever you want. Nothing
We have
comes true.
plot armor here. Come on, man. It's all plot
Also,
armor.
if you think what we're saying has any bearing on the game, anyways, like
No, not
like I know I'm on a bit of a hot streak because I predicted we'd get Arsenal in the draw, and then I successfully predicted the result of the last game down to like the score line and being in penalties. But and I predicted us getting Juventus, but like I don't think that really has an effect. I think it's just coincidence. Like
Allegedly,
stuff just happens.
I don't know, man. Next thing later, I'm gonna watch like BBC
If
Sport.
if I guess the lottery, if you see me on the news, like because I guess the lottery numbers, then we'll know something might be up.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you pop up on BBC and they're just like, "Oh, hey, Richard, Matt's fixation" or some other crap like that because you made some time travel device,
scoop.
like you're the only guy that bet like 50 quid on Leicester to win the Premier League, just some crazy crap like that. Where it's just like,
I might as well. I figured I was just lighting my money on fire. I guess I was wrong.
But I'd say we're all immigrants who respect a good jinx.
Hey man, I'm Eastern European, so like we've got the no jinx. There is no jinx where I am from. It is just crazy lawyers with thick accents that
we have one jinx we semi believed in because it was just too coincidental to it happened all the time. Was during World Cups and stuff, people put out like their flags and stuff, right? And the problem with my family is they put up the flag like right at the pivotal moment. So Euro 2004, like we're bringing out the flag, and we fucking lost the final. I'm like, we didn't need this. And then World Cup 2006, and it had to be France, and it had to be Zidane. Bring out the flag. We fucking lose. Euro 2008, we're playing Germany, and I'm like already nervous. Bring out the flag. We lose. I'm like, stop bringing out the flag. It's not helping.
Gaetano was also letting you know Esgazio must be afraid of Kostic on the wing. So hey,
this guy is afraid of anybody on the wing.
We should probably do a friendly
shivering.
We need to do a friendly wager. Like for example, if Kostic like gets like multiple goals or assists against you guys, we just need you guys to hang up like a Philip Kostic poster like in the background. Like just get a Philip Kostic poster right there, and then like we'll pick a player from your guys' team. If he dominates us, we'll do the same. But like I would just, this would just be me being petty, but like for example, say hypotheticals here. Say that we win the tie, we move on, Juve wins and moves on, and Philip Kostic does his thing. I just one stream, just have Philip Kostic like in a poster that's just looking over your shoulder. That would just be pure comedic gold.
My dad has a Juventus shirt. I'll do a show in a Juventus shirt.
Your dad does. Is he a fan or he just collects?
It was one of my old ones I didn't want anymore, so he's like, I'll take it. I'm like, cool.
He's like, you're like, Dad, I'm elevating to being a Sporting fan. You can take this black and white.
I was just purchasing some shirts. I'm like, I don't need this. And he was like, I'll take them.
He bought the Wish version of Sporting Club Portugal. Instead of white and green, he got white and black on accident.
Yeah, I got color. I'm actually colorblind.
It's like, this is the.
Didn't notice the vertical stripes.
I got the wrong one, the wrong RGB value on this one. Crap.
Didn't have my correct color codes.
This is from AliExpress. I can't. There's no returns or exchanges on this one. So
AliExpress stuff. That sale's final. If you're buying from some
game over.
So Richard, you said you do design stuff, right? Like the Adobe programs and whatnot.
Yeah, I do a bit of Photoshop and stuff. I used to work for our major junior team, the Frontenacs here in Kingston. So
did you?
For them.
Nice.
Yeah, for a few months, I did my internship with them.
Oh, nice.
So I had to do some cool stuff for them on their website and for social media and stuff. So I'm I'm an okay Photoshop dude. I do all right, and I do all of the stuff for our podcast. So I do like the thumbnails and stuff for our streams and layouts and whatnot, essentially.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. I was gonna roll into a joke. You kind of explained it better than I was hoping. But that's cool. It. That's cool. No, because have you ever had that issue? This is just a nerdy joke because we're a bunch of nerds here. But
that's fine.
When you're an illustrator and then you like import something and then everything just turns to grayscale.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's basically that was the joke I was going.
Yeah, okay.
Juventus jersey. You imported it and turned to grayscale.
I fucking hate Illustrator. It's so annoying to use. That and if you're an Adobe nerd, InDesign. InDesign is Photoshop with inconveniences.
Oh, I gave up on InDesign. I don't do.
I had to learn it. Like now I can get by in InDesign, thankfully, but. When I started with InDesign, I'm like, I fucking hate this program with a passion. Now I'm okay with it. I can do it if I ever need to, but it's Photoshop with just multitude of inconveniences.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's Screw it.
And then just housekeeping for the guys in the chat and watching. Make sure you like the video because Peepo is here and Peepo will hunt you down.
This year he will.
Yeah, he will hunt you guys down.
It's coming for you.
Peepo's like, he's all dog. Like, you don't know what they do where Peepo's from. Like, people will come at you. Oh, like
He's got, as the kids say, he's got that dog.
Yeah, he's got that dog. It's all dog in that mug. So, Peepo, man, like I said, if you guys don't like it, Peepo's gonna unleash Kostic on you guys.
Oh, he will. He's vicious. He's
Very
Mexican. I'm imagining like a little Chihuahua.
No, yeah, this is like a little piece of shit like this.
I know.
Right at your ankles.
I know Peepo. He's got all dog. He probably tuned off a while ago because he had to go back to work, and he's like listening to the replay. He's like, "What the hell is Dash saying, man?" It's funny. If Farhad is still here, but so we do a lot of stuff for Juve on their Twitch channel. So this last game, the inter game, Dave and I just went bonkers. It was just
I would imagine so.
So I got a snippet of me doing like some air guitar because Dave decides to play this outro music that's rock. So I'm like,
yeah,
cool. Let me do some improv. I'm gonna do an improv rock parody on this. I do it, and I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. And then I post the video in our group chat. And then I post it on there, and then like literally so Farhad sees it, and then the first thing he says, he's like, "Yeah, I need to do some random drug testing for Dash because I think he's absolutely lost his damn mind." And I was like,
there's no sober excuse for
just
that.
Nothing. It was weird because the thing is, the beat was great, and I was just bobbing my head to it, and I was just like, "Yeah, let's go."
Hey Dash.
Is it this? Oh, you found it. Oh, you found the music.
I
thought you had the clip. Yeah, you found the beat. I got the clip. You know what? I can upload the clip. So you know what? Well, because
I was hoping you would just like stop talking, start singing.
Oh, come on! That was like a one-time thing.
Okay, we'll outro to it.
Well,
it's gonna be a two-time.
We'll play it as the outro. I just gotta find it. I have it saved in these files. And then, speaking of which, he says, "We got shooters out there, sporting boy."
I know. I never said you didn't have shooters. Don't put words in my mouth. You got shooters.
It's getting tribal in here now.
I know you got shooters.
It's like that Snoop Dogg meme. He's like, "Man, that dude don't miss."
Even in the heat of that conflict, you don't miss.
Yeah, that dude don't miss, man.
Man, and there is one last thing that could be a benefit to both of us. Could be a detriment. Depending on who goes through here. Sevilla's coach today, just some breaking news if the chat here hasn't heard. Sevilla's coach fired. George Sampaoli is out. That just happened today. So
yeah,
Man U, Sevilla, I mean, we'll see. And one of us is clearly going to go through. What do you think? Is Sevilla losing their coach? Are they going to go through that honeymoon period where it's like, yeah, we're going to win everything? Or like, are they done?
That's the thing. It's always one extreme or the other, right? When you get a new coach at this late stage of the season,
it's so late.
They're the Europa League merchants, so I expect them to just put everything they have into at the very least that game. I know they're in a relegation battle. I expect them to stay safe. I think they're going to put absolutely everything they have into the Europa League tie. I don't know if it'll be enough. I still think it's going to be Man United through, and they will play the winner, obviously, of our tie. And I think that will be a very intriguing matchup either way, because that opens up a lot of interesting possibilities and some fun returns, because you get Di Maria going back to Old Trafford. And then on their side, we get Bruno Fernandes potentially having to come back and play at Sporting.
Yeah.
So you get some interesting matchups. But I think Sevilla will do okay. I don't know if they'll go on quite a light the world on fire run. I think they will get some of that initial bump of we got a new coach, we got to smarten up. I don't think it's going to be enough to get them to the final or semifinal of this tournament. I do think they will give Man United a run for their money. I don't expect them to roll over. I expect it to be a tight game.
I don't know. I have an affinity to Sevilla. I got to see them live, that's why. And I have their jersey.
You always have an affinity. Yeah, that's good. If you see a team live, you always get a bit of an affinity.
If Unai Emery decides out of rip that he decides to go back to Sevilla, then you're over.
That would be
done. Just give it.
It's over for all of us.
Just give it to him. It's done. We're done. We're not playing.
As soon as he hits the good evening in the first press conference, it's a wrap.
Good evening. Okay, here you go, boom. Hey,
all right. Well,
sorry, guys. We're sorry. Yes, Daddy. It's all yours. It's all yours. We just kept it warm for you. It's okay. But and then just some breaking Juventus news, just for Juventini as well. So too, imminent break. So there is an imminent breakdown between Conte and Tottenham. The reason why I'm talking about Conte as much as, if you want the truth, I give you the truth. He says that in a press conference. So Juventus, Milan, Inter, and Roma are all evaluating the possibility of bringing in Conte.
God help you all.
God help us all.
God help you all.
He gets paid
All
17
of
million.
them.
He gets paid 17 million to be a bum. So that's my thoughts there. I wish you guys knocked him out in the group stage.
A very loud bum, by the way.
Very, very loud bum. Which is interesting because we're going to be doing a podcast soon, and I kind of want to talk about Allegri for Juventini. We got to review Allegri, guys, because there's some things where Dave and I were right back in October when everyone was calling us mad lads for still saying that guy shouldn't be sacked. And
he reminds people every week.
I do. I like to be petty like that because
you got to. Sometimes you got to be petty on.
You have to.
Because it feels so good.
Because people
will call you an idiot, and you'll be like, "Fuck you, I was right."
Yeah,
I knew before everybody.
Because the thing is so put the 15 points back on the board. A very mediocre Juventus team has 56 points in Serie A. I don't care what you say about the league, but the fact that the scandal and the issues that we're going through right now, and hell, we didn't even have Pogba and Chiesa yet. We don't even have our two best players. And yet we're still dining and dashing. For example, we've got a bunch of youngsters, and I don't care what people say. Well, maybe the injuries. Okay, maybe the injuries happened. Maybe the injuries didn't happen. If the injuries didn't happen, who knows? We'd be in first place. But I'm saying with the current situation that we have, where we're at right now, we got to give that guy some slack. So I'm planning on having that as a segment that we talk and review about it because I think it's detrimental. But the second bit of news is Adrian Rabiot. There have been.
I almost forgot he played. You guys had that fucking guy.
Yeah,
I forgot Rabiot existed.
He's a monster, man.
Yeah.
Have you seen that guy? He's quite the dapper guy.
On his day,
he's got a hot mom too.
I've never actually seen a picture of his mom. I've only read about her.
We joke about it because his mom.
I've never seen a picture. I've heard about her in the press being a pain in the ass, but
no, she's a great lady. We love her.
Very, very great lady. We love her. See right there. There it is. So that's that dapper fella that's gonna run against your guys' midfield and make you guys look like just sleep in fear. But Farhad is saying we're gonna just play Kostic against Man United. Yeah, he's still win. Gaetano saying Serie A is mediocre, that we can get into the Champions League even with 15 points or less. Hey, that's their fault, not ours. I'm just saying. Hey, Milan, Roma, Atalanta, you guys are dropping points. You're dropping points. That sucks to be you guys. We're winning. That's my only thing I can say about that. Because you play what's in front of you and you play with the situations that are present. They want to drop points, they drop points. We climb back into it, which makes Serie A look like a bigger bunch of bums for even taking 15 points away from the first place. Because you imagine if we get into the Champions League qualifiers with the deductions that we had, do better.
That's wild.
It's hilarious because everybody just knows better. It's just they know. Don't mess with big old daddy black and white, and that's what they need to know. But going back to Rabiot, so the club is working on an extension package with him, and Rabiot has expressed interest in wanting to stay and renew at Juventus, and the club is working on figuring out something that works for the club and for his mom because his mom is his agent, and I hate players that have parents as their agents because
we get that all the time in Portugal.
They suck.
It's the worst. They're nightmares to deal with.
They suck because his mom wants over 10 million a season, which, with all due respect, Rabiot, he's not that good. And Nickat's saying Juve is getting the points. Yeah, I do. I really think Juve is getting those points back. So
we'll find out about Easter time.
We'll find out on you know how metaphorically ironic that would be if Juve gets their points back at Easter at Easter. They resurrected. Juve has resurrected, and
it's ironic from the dead
because Jesus with a J, Juventus with a J.
It's the day before the match between us and Sporting.
Yeah.
So
we have on Good Friday, which is not going to be Good Friday, the Classico game, Benfica Porto, if I'm not mistaken. So that is not the way to spend a Good Friday. That is going to be the least holy game. There's going to be violence that game. Those teams hate each other.
So, kind of talking because Nikat and Gaetano were talking about the points. I kind of found it interesting that so we interviewed Nemo, who was a really big journalist on the Inter side, and he told us we were going to get deducted 25, 30 points for salary maneuvers, which I thought was interesting that he said that because all of that happened while the team wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And also for a season, not even 2 months. So I'm kind of curious because that is going to be the next thing that we're going to have to jump over. But again, we can't really comment much on that because there's not much to comment on that. And Farhad is saying we have an extension package. I have an extension package. Just thinking of Adrian Rabiot signing with us.
He wants to off the contract.
Boner
Look at
jokes.
him go for dick jokes.
Hey, he's a thinking with his head. Eh?
He's thinking with his head, all right.
Definitely using the head. Hey, very good. You know, my friend, they have a blue chew for that. And people that watch podcast 11, you get the blue chew reference. You understand?
Oh man,
But
It's always blue. It's always blue chew and Manscaped.
and Nick Cat is talking about Uncle Beppe giving you a lot of hope. So, do we want to say it now? We might as well kind of get the ball rolling a little bit.
is it? I guess it's semi-confirmed. Sure, talk about
Pretty
it.
much. So,
Yeah.
guys, I know you guys are asking for the Just Juve Turin Giants crossover. You've seen us crossover on Twitch for Juventus. Guys, it is happening on YouTube during the international break. It's being scheduled as we speak. So you guys will see us, Dave, myself, Farhad, and Beppe, all of us sit down and have a conversation. It's going to be a really fun. So I'm going to say this too as well, because we need help from you guys as in the viewers. So Farhad, he's in the chat here. He is going to be looking for a fan questions for Giuseppe, whether it be like a video, like if you film yourself asking the question, like for example, film yourself say, "Hi, my name is Gaetano. I love your stuff, Beppe. My question is, what do you think of X, Y, and Z?" Or how long do you spend on content creation, or how do you do all of it? So like if you guys can give us like personal messaged questions when we do the podcast, because it's going to be a YouTube and a Spotify version of it, we'll be displaying those questions for Beppe, and Beppe will be answering them in live time. Again, we're going to filter through them, keep it appropriate. Don't ask Beppe to rate your package or your package extensions, because we're not going to feature that question. Just giving you guys.
You're not trying to
that
get flagged on YouTube.
I was gonna say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, so guys, definitely start thinking about some questions. Send them, and then Farhad, if you're still here, I think you can send it to us on Twitter, Juve Podcast. If you're on Instagram, you can send it to the Turn Giants Instagram page. I don't think email. Maybe if you're on
You can if you want to.
If you're that desperate to send an
If you
email,
want to,
if
if you're that
we
desperate
have
to send an
that.
email.
if you have to resort
Dave-
to that type of means.
Dave just put up the QR code here. You can go on to the Discord. You can send it via there. But guys,
And it's all in
heard
the
it.
description as well. All that
yeah.
stuff.
So you guys heard it here first. So Just Juve Turn Giants crossover is happening on YouTube and all podcast platforms. It's going to be a fun conversation. We're going to do this like the Joe Rogan style, minus the weed, because I don't think we could do it with that. We're not that cool.
You
But
just do it off screen, man. Like you don't have to
and then
show the world.
Farhad is saying that the best question can call in live and speak to Beppe. So
oh, there you go.
So, you know, folks, you know, if you want to get a little bit of starstruck, just don't shit your pants, because we don't cover any damages from that. So just like
Yeah, that's a you problem.
that is a you problem, and not a you as in Juventus problem. It is just straight you.
That's what we say in some parts. It's an issue, not an ish me.
It's an issue that requires
you
some
deal with
tissue.
that.
Some
Right on.
tissues. But
So
that's that news segment. That's like it was supposed to be news in a dash, but I like totally dragged it out. So totally my bad.
I mean, news in a dash is still. It's like, have you ever heard the word like, "Oh, I'm giving a brief," but it goes on for 2 hours?
It goes on for
That's-
like we
that's
do.
Yeah, news in a dash.
We do on
And
our
then-
show at the end. We do like we cover all the modalities of the team as well. So if we have like a week, it's like we got to cover futsal and we got to cover volleyball. So we'll run through all the scores as quickly as we can. But
Yeah.
it's still like a 10, 15 minute.
That's why Dave and I don't like doing news videos, because it's just like we're gonna sit there and be like, shit, we're gonna probably talk and like pre-record a 30-minute video. And it's gonna be
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Gaetano was talking about Beppe interviewing Locatelli. He also translated it on English as well. So he has it on his YouTube channel. So the interview with Manuel Locatelli in English. He also has Federico Chiesa. He also has Nicolo Fagioli as well. So again,
I'm still
call
waiting
him-
for Julia Grosso.
we're still waiting for Julia Grosso.
We
but,
love
yeah,
Julio Grosso. in these
See,
shows.
look, even Richard loves
Canadian national
Julia.
team-
Everybody
Canadian national
loves-
team hero.
Everybody loves her until they find out that she's dating the Broncos fullback. So that's
that's fine.
Never mind.
off the market, guys. Hate to break it to you.
No, Canadian national team hero.
Hey.
Shout out to Julio Grosso.
We're just waiting for it's gonna be funny. We're waiting to see if she gets, because Dave and I do the English Juventus show on Twitch, on their Twitch channel. So we're just waiting for the day that Juve is like, hey, you know, we'll give you Julio Grosso for an interview, and Dave will probably just be like,
Yeah, we don't quite have that cred with Sporting yet. We have a couple guys, we have our old president, Bruno de Carvalho was on an episode. We've had a couple guys, ex-communications directors and so on. And we were going to have one of their basketball players, and I guess they poo-pooed that idea, and they were like, no, you can't have them. So, because we're not exactly fans of our current presidential administration, because we're not.
That's it. That's all I need to see that comment. See you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
I disagree heavily with this comment.
I don't know about that, Chief.
See, hey, there we go. Now that's the comment, guys. Now that's a comment. Like, I don't know if you guys like the Crocodile Dundee is like,
that's a knife.
No, that's a knife. No,
it's not like the Simpsons, like, this is a knife. It's like, that's not a knife, that's a spoon.
That's a comment. That's a comment right there. That's a good comment.
Oh man, you guys are too much. It's like you knew each other beforehand already, the two of you. You're like, you're like the annoying two little brothers. Like, oh, guys, come on. No, you guys are awesome, of course.
No, El Jefe is going to bed. He said, peace, y'all. Thanks for taking my questions. That's not all we take.
Oh, man.
I'm kidding.
Nice.
I'm kidding.
Love it.
But I think if there's any final thoughts, I guess, because I found the video, so we can use that video as our sign off. So,
hell yeah.
We're going to have some fun here.
Yeah, we'll toss over to Richard here if you have any last things for us. I hope we can do this again, especially leading up
absolutely.
Between games. But for the interim, is there any pressing questions that you want to know about us or Juventus?
Nothing pressing about Juventus or you guys at the moment. I wish you guys luck for the game.
Watch out for Kostic.
We're gonna watch it for Kostic. I'm gonna go back and send a message like, these guys told us Kostic. We gotta be aware.
And make sure
get the tape.
Make sure you tell them that Pipo told you to say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say people told me to say, watch out for this Kostic motherfucker. He can cause some issues. But no, I'm good. Thank you for having me on, having us on. I am but one of a wonderful group of five gentlemen scattered across Earth. We have a couple Canadians, a couple Americans, and even a British from Stevenage, England. Shout out to Sam, who was actually going to be on this, but he's got the flu. So they went and they're like, who can do it? I'm like, I'm free. I was
gonna say, people, that's what you did to him. You gave him the flu. Like, is that why? Because I was wondering, isn't there supposed to be another one?
I was like, I got no life, guys. I got time. My dad's perfect. You said all you guys. I'm good.
We'll bring some friends next time, so it's not a 2-on-1.
We'll bring a friend for sure. If you guys ever want to come on for us especially after one of the games,
for sure. Yeah,
we usually do a review or a preview. So we happily have you guys in between legs or whatever, if possible.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do this. This sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun couple of weeks across collaboration, man. So we're totally down. Again, like some of you folks, and again, some of the people watching the replay on this, match is like 3 weeks out. It's a little bit difficult to do some pregame, so this is just kind of getting everybody introduced.
It's international break, Burger.
Yeah, it is international break. We're letting loose, so we'll probably be a little bit more serious leading up to the actual match day itself. So,
they were just too easy too, though, Dash. Like, you know how some girls you have to fight for a while? These ones, I'm just like, hey, come on.
And that is what we call dating advice in a dash, guys. Follow the Turn Giants to learn how to become to learn a class of Rizonomics and to become one of the Riz, but become the Wizard of Oz. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm going off the walls right now. Holy shit.
Oh man, he needs some sleep. Of course, Richard, thank you. At Sporting 160. Dash, you're getting the rock music today. No, you're doing.
I'm doing the video.
You're just playing it. You're cheating. Okay, sorry.
It has to be. It has to be shared. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
Wait for it.
Comes in a little quiet. So,
come on, Beard, you can do it.
Oh yeah, this is actually not bad for.
So it's just building.
Thanks everybody for checking out this live stream on Twitch's Juventus' channel. 1-0 win over those bumps from Inter. Got a super cool goal from Filip Kostic. Got the dub and we got some taunts.
So anyway, guys, that's been the show.
Cut. Yeah, thanks for watching
this is so
live stream. Guys, tomorrow.
I've never waited
doing
this long
the Italian
on this
top Juve with Giuseppe and Dave and Dash at 9 o'clock at night.
Okay. All right. All right. All right.
Unreasonable for the StreamYard there. Unreasonable. They ruined a good time.
Oh man, he's trashed us now for not doing this.
All right, let's do this professionally. We'll do this. Are we actually playing the rock music here?
Yeah, we're doing the outro.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm just so used to the regular song. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning into this live stream with Sporting Portugal. I totally butchered it. Sporting Club Portugal. I fixed it. But anyways, though, Richard joining us today. We will be seeing Richard again. We'll probably be featuring on Richard's channel, and Richard will be featuring on our channel again. Dave and I and Farhad are again going to be doing some work with Giuseppe during the international break. So again, send in those questions, because the winner of those questions will actually be able to guest appear on that live stream and talk to Beppe one-on-one. So that is what we like to call the Turin Giant sweepstakes here. Don't know why I just thought of that name just now, but anyways, screw it, we did. But anyways, guys, like, subscribe, comment, do all the stuff. And by the way, Dave, take it off.
You said enough, buddy. Peace out. Love you all. Catch you next time.